we should do the rest of this podcast by saying things unsaid as well. Like, just be like, Tales from the Loop is a show you need to watch actively. I did not.
Tales from the Loop was trippy, man.
Tales from the Loop is loopy.
Okay. Hey, everybody, and welcome to Fallingtower's Watch the First podcast, the podcast in which we make kind of funny jokes, but not like the one you just heard. Just kidding, Roz Stanley. It's me. Joining us, as always, our cohort, our co-producer, our co-CEO, Mr. Michael Kenyon Rosenberg.
Hi.
We're also joined by very special guest, Roz Stanley, who we like to razz Roz sometimes, but she's a comedian. She's an actress. She's super funny. She's a content creator. She's a gymnast.
I actually used to be a gymnast. Yes. Where are you reading that from?
I went for it.
Yeah.
I was in the loop. I'm in actually in episode 5 of Tales of the Loop, Tales from the Loop Crypt.
Oh, wow.
Not really. I'm just saying I'm
in his mind. He's in it, man. He's in it.
Okay.
That's how
gotcha.
I predicted it. Was I knew that you were actually my daughter.
We almost look alike. Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
So today we're reviewing the first episode. We watched the first. If we watched the first podcast, we're celebrating 20 years of Fallingtower. By the way, today was Tales from the Loop. The first episode was called Loop. Second episode will probably be called Tales, and so on. And we watched the first in this podcast. We talk about if we're going to watch the second episode later. We rate it later in what Mike likes to call the bottom line, a.k.a. the terrible.
No, I like the bottom line.
I know you do. Everybody does, I bet, so far. Anyway, we like to smash the bell icon. We like to share these videos. Please hit the bell icon. Please hit subscribe. If you want us to review an episode of a series, it'll only be the first because we only watch the first. But
we only watch the first of things.
Right.
Only
Type in WTF Seinfeld or WTF Empty Nest if you want us to watch the first Empty Nest.
I don't even know where we could find that one. I think I've looked for it before.
I know where.
What's
the internet. It's a Golden Girls spin-off.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Christy McNichol, I think, was the lady in it. Christy McNichol is the answer.
If you know, drop us a line in the comments. Say, yeah, obviously it's Christy McNichol, you idiots.
You Christy McDickles. Anyway, the way we like to start this off is Mike likes to hold our hand and walk us through the plot so that we better understand it.
Mm-hmm. And I have that for you right here.
What a relief.
In this show, the townspeople who live above the loop, a machine built to unlock and explore the mysteries of the universe. They experience things previously consigned to the realm of science fiction.
Ooh.
In this episode, a young girl living in a small town becomes curious about the mysterious work her mother conducts beneath ground at a facility known as the Loop.
My first thought is fake news. Was she ever even underground? I don't even know. Anyway, so
she was actually, yeah.
Okay, you're gonna have to.
I don't know if they have
this.
fake news in that world. You know, I think it was
feel like
what,
it's
1970s?
all fake news. Mm-mm.
Oh.
So the first thing we do on this show, and by first I mean like fourth after all the stuff we just did, is we compare and contrast what we expected before we watched the episode versus what we got. So first things first, what did we expect? I'll tell you what I expected. This was suggested
You're
to
gonna
us.
Start now.
Is it? Don't I usually start, or do we?
No,
we
usually
start.
pick on other people to start.
Oh, what a thing!
But you
goodness.
can definitely start.
No, let's start with you. I need time to think. Go ahead, Michael, please. Save me.
I forgot what I was going to say now.
Did you forget the show? Tales
Yeah,
from
I
the
completely. Yeah, well, it was like it's like I went back in time, man, and I saw myself.
Loop. Oh my gosh, guys.
So okay, I'll
Wow.
talk about what I expected at first. So, what I expected was a science fiction anthology series, which was similar to. I figured it would be similar to like the Twilight Zone type of thing, but I did have a sneaking suspicion that all the stories would be tied together somehow.
Mm-hmm.
Roz, Penelope Stanley, what did you expect before watching it?
Before watching it, believe it or not, I didn't watch the trailer. I didn't know anything honestly about this show at all. And from the title, I just knew it was going to be, I felt like a drama, more serious show. And then, of course, when they have that opening monologue from Jonathan Pryce's character, I was like, this is going to be deep and it might be dark. And I've thus found that it is very deep. And I think it could get darker, but I feel like it's very much Stranger Things meets Black Mirror without some, there he is.
Jonathan Pryce.
Yes, he is like, I wish he was my grandpa.
We love
like
him.
He's wonderful. He's wonderful. But yeah, Stranger Things meets Black Mirror, but without that like weird darkness and without the 80s.
Jonathan Pryce. I was trying to figure out who that guy. My first thought was he's in Game of Thrones, but I don't remember where. I don't remember. He must have been
the High Sparrow.
Got it. Okay, thank you. Because I was like, he's not one of the Maesters. So,
but he's in a bunch of other things. He's in Pirates of the Caribbean. He's in one of my favorite movies of all time from the 80s, Brazil. It's like a post-apocalyptic or dystopian view of the future where it's like Big Brother watches over you type of thing. It's a Terry Gilliam film. Fantastic film. Highly recommend it. But it's very slow, so Ryan wouldn't like it.
Okay.
He's already
but look at his face, Jonathan's face. I mean, that is like the warmest, like wisdom, like grandpa face.
He's a great actor. Yeah, great actor.
Yeah, so he's a guy from Game of Thrones. But I know Michael does like Terry Gilliam. I've heard him mention that before, and I've always forgot. Like I remove it from my brain, but then he reminds me by saying it again.
Yeah. You like Terry Gilliam, 12 Monkeys.
That's a good movie. Yeah.
Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
Oh, that was a very good movie. That's very quotable.
These are all.
What's the score here?
Any of those.
What's the score here? You took too much, man. Too much. Okay. So anyway, I'll tell you what I expected was our good friend Darf, who was on our show just a couple weeks ago for his birthday edition. He actually recommended this to me a little while ago, and he was talking about it. And so I expected what he told me, which was it was kind of like a Twilight Zone kind of thing, but it was all connected by this town that has the loop in it. It's all these weird stories. Basically, what you get in the first few seconds is what he told me. And that's what I expected and really nothing more. But that's what we expected. And Michael, what did you get? I'm going to fiddle with my mic. I'm hearing stuff. Are you guys hearing stuff?
No.
Good, then it's just me.
You're just hearing. I think you're just hearing things. So maybe you should get your head checked, not your microphone. Oh, burn. So I'll tell you what I got.
Pills from the poop. Anyway.
What I got was some pretty, I mean, from what I can gather, I've only watched the first episode because obviously we only watched the first of things. But I think that this whole series is probably just going to be some pretty cool old school science fiction because that's what we got in this first episode. It was like one of these old school science fiction tropes, and it played out like an old episode of Star Trek. It was kind of slow to get to the point, but once you got to the twist, then you're like, I see what you did there, old school science fiction. A lot like the Twilight Zone, I guess, is more like not like more like Twilight Zone than Star Trek. Is I guess what I'm trying to say.
gosh.
Roz, Elizabeth Stanley, what did you get from this?
I really felt like I was kept in the loop on this episode as I was watching it. I really felt like I felt like I feel like there's an element of, I know it's set in the real world, but there's that fantasy element there that I feel like it's like getting sprinkled in a little bit, and because like the I don't know the word, but it's like magnifying it to be bigger than life, but this is not another world, it's not, you know, in space kind of thing, it's on Earth type thing. But
Right.
I thought my expectations were met, I thought. And I thought it was moving. That was the part about it, that some of it was moving. Just those one-liners that they'll say, like, you know, you'll find life doesn't make sense. Different things like that were just moving. And a lot in this show, or the pilot, is said without being said. There's like these rich moments of just like a reaction, or just watching the scenery, even with the house, you know, being sucked up and built apart,
that was beautiful, yeah.
falling apart. It's just, you just, like, so much is said in that moment. And when like both of the Lorettas are putting their hand in the snow, like so much is said in that moment. It's like, I mean, I watched the pilot twice because I feel like I didn't get everything that first time. I was like, I got to watch this again and figure out little Loretta, like, you know, meeting her son and everything. So, my expectations were surpassed.
Sir Patrick.
Stuart.
Michael, let's play a game called Figure Out What That Word Was that Roz was trying to think, because we're both wordsmiths. So you said there's a word in which it's like magnifying everything?
Yes, it's like magnifying, fantasy, like bigger than life, larger than life. I feel like it starts. No, I feel like it starts with an M, and I can't get to it.
Magnanimous.
McGlorifying?
Magnificent?
Magnitude.
Oh, omniscient, like this all-knowing type of thing that is in the eclipse, right? The thing, or the eclipse, and it's just like it knows things, and it like can pull people to certain times and spaces.
Surprised we didn't get that. Well, I'll tell you what I got versus what I expected.
That's what we're all dying to hear.
Boy, oh boy. I'm dying up here too. So like Roz, I found it to be moving, very slow moving.
Yikes.
Because it was very slow moving and very subtle. And what I got, I guess, was a show for patient people. A show, right? Like a show.
Which Ryan is not, by the way.
Well,
oh boy, I can already guess where this is going.
Well, it's a show for people that want to watch the show, right? If
That's
you're
every show.
Not somebody put giggle cream in Mike's facial cream. Well, no, like sometimes.
Go ahead.
No, I'm enjoying this part. This is fun.
You're all right. You're done. I'm done.
It's like
You're
sometimes you sit down and you're like, I want to watch the show. I'm going to watch the show. I'm going to watch this series. Or, you know, that happens a lot of times with pre-existing franchises. Like, say, for example, the Old Wives' Tale. What was it? Handmaid's Tale, right? So,
the Old Wives' Tale.
That's what I call it. So Handmaid's Tale, right? It's got a pre-existing franchise, right? So most people that are watching it are very patient with it because they know it's going to be good. And the people that are giving it to you know that they're going to have your attention. They don't need to keep your attention the first minute or two because they know most people watching it are already loyal to it and will be patient with it, right? This delivered the story the same way, but they do not have a pre-existing fan base. In other words, it hasn't already earned that patience. So you're either already patient with it just because you are a patient person or you're expecting to be, or like me, you're going like this, oh shit, is this going to be one of those that just...
So, a quick, I mean, there is actually, this is based off of a book.
Damn it, see, I knew it. I called it. You see how I know this stuff? I can tell when something is delivered as if it already has...
But here's
it's
the
like
thing,
it's got a confidence, a slow confidence that they're like, they'll stick around.
Here's the thing that I read about it. I haven't read that book, but this book, it's actually like an art book.
But that's what it was. Yeah, I thought it was paintings it was based on.
So this guy does like for instance, if you look at Roz's background with the cool ATST robot back there.
Is that from Star Wars?
Yeah.
I was trying to remember what they were called. I'm like, it's not an AT-AT. It's like an AT something else. I just call them, like,
yeah.
walkers or something.
So yeah. So but like he did these kind of paintings like that, but then he like wove the story around it too in this book. So it's not like stories, but there is a loosely based story around all these different paintings in this book called Tales from the Loop. But Amazon went ahead and they used that as a basis to create all these stories, I mean, original stories. So it's not like these original stories that they created for this show are in the book. It's just this book is like a book of this kind of art, this kind of cool art where this guy puts like these crazy science fiction things in like everyday life. For instance, this crazy chicken walker robot hiding out in the forest, and then this little boy is like throwing rocks at it, and if you hit it in the eye, it's good luck. That's what he says. Oops, I meant to do this. Change my background to this.
Whoa!
The little boy is like throwing rocks at the chicken walker and he's trying to hit it in the eye for good luck. So not just out of malice. He's trying to get good luck.
But doesn't he look like Chuck E. Cheese without fur? Don't you think so? This guy? He looks like Chucky. He looks like Chuck E. Cheese.
The 6-foot mouse?
Yeah. Without fur.
I don't know. It looks like it's got like a badger face to me. Like it's got the face of a badger.
Yeah, I could see a little bit of Badger. I could see about 92% Star Wars. And I can see a little bit of a 70s color scheme with the racing stripe. Right. That's what I see.
I think he's cute.
I.e. Chuck E. Cheese.
Yep. So cute. He's so cute. And they allude to, maybe not entirely, but having feelings. You know, how the little Loretta says, like, how would you feel if you were being picked on? Right. You know, like there's giving feelings to robots.
Kind of ostensibly sentient robot that has at least some kind of self-awareness, maybe.
Ostensibly what?
Ostensibly sentient. Sentient meaning having
self-awareness,
having a self-awareness, having an eye, like the letter I, having a point of view.
Self-awareness, a point of view. I love it. I like that. That is like ostensibly sensuous.
Sensuous, yeah. Words.
Sentient.
Yeah. Ostensibly sentient. I'll get it.
Ostrichably
sorry.
Sensual.
Yeah. Sensual ostrich.
I think that's a beautiful story about the painting guy, you know, painter Smurf doing. I think that's really cool, really interesting. And which actually leads me to a question which I wanted to ask, if you can believe that, player.
I can.
And that is about the concept of the show. Like, you know, just the I guess the structure of it, right? Kind of like the Twilight Zone, but kind of connected. The way I was looking at it was similar to what's a show with Mulder and Scully?
X-Files.
X-Files.
Right, X-Files.
Jinx.
It's like X-Files.
Hey, WTF X-Files.
That was a poorly timed
Oh.
jinx, Roz. It needs to be at the
Well,
same.
we're on Zoom. We're on Zoom,
Okay.
and it lagged a little bit. I think that's why.
So with X-Files, it was all these sex files. It was all these different stories, but they were connected by two main characters. And later on, I think they ended up kind of having an overarching story, but before they were just separate stories. Now this is the same thing, separate stories, presumably connected by the world, connected by the loop, the town, the big mystery. And I wanted to ask you guys what you thought of that concept, starting with Roslyn Stanley.
Yes. So I like this concept because I feel like now we some of the characters, again, I love the word sprinkled. Some of the characters are sprinkled in. The security guard, the father with a robotic arm.
Yeah.
That kind of, yes.
The Terminator
that
arm.
kind of stuff. So yes, we see some of them and we get that curiosity awakened. Probably not you, Ryan. You're not patient enough for curiosity. But the rest of us were very much just like,
all
whoa,
of the rest of us. Yeah.
Everybody else. I think that was awakened for me. And so I was like, well, what does happen to this character, or what is this character's history elsewhere, which hopefully will be revealed in the rest of the season. Yeah. Right. I thought the concept was great because as I was watching it, I was like, I don't know, sometimes the linear situation just isn't right for a story, or sometimes just going, what is that? Not synchronous, sequential. In a sequential order, it's like, I don't know, you lose people.
Sequential.
Ostensibly sequential, yes. Yeah, but I thought the concept, in its own way, unique, if you will.
Mike will. What do you think?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I'm actually looking for. I mean, I don't think I'm going to be able to watch any more of these episodes because my wife was not into it when we watched it last night.
Easy with the spoilers.
I mean, okay, yeah, I won't say any more. But I will say that I am very interested to know more about the eclipse, because we know that it's definitely has some power. This little fragment of the eclipse can float in midair. And we know that, I mean, even when I guess at the end, so I guess we should just give away the ending. Like, in the end, there's this little girl and she finds out that she's actually has traveled to the future where she meets her older self. And her older self brings her down into the loop to see this giant, what is it, like a black sphere made of little fragments called the eclipse. And I don't know, I got a picture of it here. I don't know if you can see it too well because it's kind of dark.
Somewhat.
Yeah, you can kind of, I should have lightened the picture maybe, but there's like the two Lorettas. There's the little girl Loretta and then the older mom Loretta. And like the older mom Loretta is showing her this spherical eclipse thing. And so that's the only thing that we really know about it, is that she says it's like the heart of the loop. So maybe that's where the energy comes to create all these kind of weird things. Like, who knows really what kind of work that they're doing down there. Maybe we'll find out a little bit more. Maybe we won't ever find out a little bit more. But what I really am interested to see more of is these, like I said before, these cool old school science fiction stories. That reminds me of like reading like a book of Ray Bradbury short stories or something like that. These cool older, these. When I say old school, I'm talking about like these, like the Twilight Zone, those kinds of stories where there is some kind of cool trippy thing, but it's not like, it doesn't. How can I explain it? What are words? Yeah, it's I don't even know how to explain it besides just old school science fiction. But
Mike is being possessed by the ghost of John Lennon.
Yeah.
John Lennon, I mean.
Yeah.
Oh,
what are words anyway?
John Lemon, yeah.
Lemon,
I've got a sour taste. I've got a sour taste in my mouth. John Lemon.
It's a super lemon.
So, but it's more like you watch like Discovery or something, and there are these kind of grand stories, these kind of grand where it's like the whole world is in danger, and like Hunger Games and like these kinds of cool science fiction stories where it's like the stakes are the whole world. But I guess maybe with these cool old school science fiction, it's just these little stories where it's not like the whole world is involved. It's just like these characters. It's their world is changing a little bit.
You know, when you mentioned the eclipse, it reminded me that when I first saw it, the first thing I thought they said, because I immediately see this, I'm like, oh, they see a sphere, right? I type in, they see a sphere. And then I thought they said, it's called the ellipse. And I was like, it's not a fucking, but then I saw, and I was about to get upset, but then I saw, you know, I watched with the closed captioning so that I can see, you know, catch everything and catch the names and stuff. And it said eclipse. I was like, okay, but I'm watching you guys. I know that's not a, anyway, but it was weird. You know, you did mention how the eclipse, and they're like, it's the heart. It's like the heart of the building. But then you start thinking, well, are there more of these, or is this the total eclipse of the heart?
Yeah.
Every now and then I fall apart.
Well, and then the other question is, did they create the eclipse or did they find it? No, I understand. I know your bad jokes. I know. But my question, though, it just made me think, like, is it something that they found or is it something that they created?
That found them.
I'm
that
assuming
found them.
Yeah, that's what I think.
That found them. Let me say it one more time. That found them.
Yeah, could be. Anything's possible in a world.
I don't know. I thought the concept was brilliant. I really like the idea of it. You know, it's a perfect idea. It's a perfect concept. It makes complete sense. If somebody's pitching it to you, you get it in 20 seconds. I think it's very ripe for good storytelling for 7 or 10 seasons worth, even. You know what I mean? Like it's perfect. It's a perfect concept, I think. So then the key is the other half, and the more difficult half is execution.
Right.
So.
And it was just too slow and boring for you then.
Well,
okay.
That's not what I'm saying.
We'll wait until the end, I guess.
Yeah, no, you're saying.
I didn't say that. I just said that the concept was brilliant.
You said it was for patient people.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, what I'm gathering.
There are a lot of patient people in this world.
And you're not one of them, though.
Says who?
You just said. You just
we'll
said
just
it.
have to
wait.
Mike is the one that said it.
We'll just have to wait till the bottom line.
Oh, boy.
To the bottom of all this.
Oh, boy.
Wait, but Ryan, if someone pitched this to you, would you be patient enough to hear the pitch?
I wouldn't need to be, because like I said, within 20 seconds, you get it. So let me explain something to y'all here. A good pilot, generally speaking, it grabs your attention very quickly. And I don't mean like with, you know, if it's with gimmicks or with cheap stuff, that's a poor pilot. You know, that's one that is not confident in its content. But like, look at the best pilots ever in the history of television. Things like Breaking Bad. It's got your attention from second one, and it's not in a cheap way. It works. Lost. It's got your attention from second one. It's not in a cheap way. It works. You know, like. That's why
Wings had some pilots in it.
Beautiful.
I love him.
But that's why these kinds of pilots get taught in schools, in writing schools, is because it works. You know, that they grab your attention from the very beginning. And then there are others that are just like, oh, but wait, don't worry. In episode 7, it all makes, oh, Jesus Christ. Well, nobody's going to even get to page 7, dude. Anyway, that's the one thing about patience, is what I'm talking about is like, yeah, maybe I'm a little impatient, but it's a metaphor for good screenwriting.
Screenwriting School of Ryan Husk. There we go.
Well, like I mentioned, my wife wasn't into it either, mostly because
I didn't say I wasn't into it.
Mostly because she said it took too long for her to get to understand it, to understand what was happening, to get it. And I was like, well, that is good writing. Is like leading people through the mystery.
Totally agree. Yeah. The problem for me was not that it took forever to find out what was happening. For me, it was that 2 things happened in an hour. like 2 things happened in an hour. Nothing, just 2 things happened in 56 minutes of television.
False.
Maybe
False.
one thing. Maybe one thing.
There was like dozens of little tiny things that you missed.
Yes. Agreed.
Maybe I
so
didn't.
You're not
Maybe
curious.
I missed him.
You don't know. You don't have any curiosity of what happened to Alma.
Yes.
Okay. Well, then you should probably keep watching.
Who knows if we'll ever find out? I think
I would imagine we'd never find out.
Yeah.
I don't know, guys.
That's the kind of show, man.
But that's good storytelling though too. You don't want to give look at Lost. Lost doesn't give away everything. Like they leave you like wondering and pontificating and like coming up with your own answers, because that's part of good storytelling too, is it's a collaborative process between the author and the reader, or in this case the viewer, because then you have your imagination is going and you're co-creating the story with the author of the story.
See,
true, but I think what this pilot episode does though is, for those of us that are a little bit more introspective, it makes you wonder, like, well, what is the point of having your child self meet the adult self? What purpose does that serve in anyone's life? You know, that's where I think the depth came in. Like, if you got to meet yourself as a child, like, what would you say to them? You know, and vice versa.
We'd have fun.
Well, the ultimate conclusion of this, I think, is for the older Loretta meeting younger Loretta. She kind of came to the conclusion that, hey, maybe I need to be a little bit of a better mother to my sons, because they don't think that I really want to be a mother, and that's probably a result of her losing her mother at a young age.
Yes,
that's
definitely.
Absolutely. But I will say, Michael, you're really triggering all of my pet peeves, as the French say. One of which being this pontificating comment you just so flippantly tossed out, which was when they don't give you the answers, right? To me, I think this is not storytelling. It's the opposite. You're not telling a story. You're telling some of it. And one of my pet peeves, and people know this happens all the time, is when they ask the writer, when the writer ends on a cliffhanger, not to next season. It could be in a book, it could be in a movie, and then you're like, but did she say yes or not, or did he kill her or did he not? You know, and then the writer says that thing that makes us want to kill them. They go, "What do you think?" Just well, no. They go, no. But what do you think?
Never watched The Sopranos.
Yeah, bullshit. I call bullshit on that, and I'll tell you why. Is because that's them being afraid to take a chance that they might make the wrong decision as for what the audience sees. Like, they're saying, I don't know which one is the right answer, if he kills her or if he doesn't, so I'm just not going to answer it. And then when they ask the audience, what do you think? That's the safe way of guaranteeing they'll have the right answer, because the audience is going to be like, I think he does kill her. You'd be like, you're right.
Well, I'm interested to know what story that you read that ends like that, because that does seem a little bit like a cop-out. But I'll say this about this story is the Alma being disappearing or whatever is not the main story. It's not like the main story ends on a cliffhanger. It's just this thing that happened to this young girl is okay. We never have a resolution to that. But even that kind of informed the older Loretta's life too. As she grew up, she was like, well, she like went and delved into science to try to figure out what happened to her mom, and she became this great scientist who's like at a pretty high level at the Loop. It seems like, from what I can gather. But I think that the plot point of the mother disappearing is not integral to the rest of the story, is my argument there.
What is the main story then, if I may ask?
The main story is the older Loretta and the younger Loretta meeting each other. So I guess the fact that there is no resolution to where the mother went actually helps that main story.
Well, that becomes the main story later on. The first half or 2/3, the main story is what's the deal with that girl and her mom? What's up with her mom? What's the mystery? She's looking for her mom. It's almost as if they're telling the story, and at the end they have like that little twist, which is cool, but then they leave the original main story hanging. What do you think, Roz?
She's still thinking about all the stuff that we just said.
You guys are lagging on my connection.
Oh, no.
Yeah, you guys froze a little bit. There we go.
Sorry about that.
Cool. That's okay. I think the main story is a bunch of stories. And I think that's like where you as the audience member are, keeping up with those different stories. I think it can be a challenge for some people if there's not a main story, if you will, to follow. But I think these multiple stories challenge everyone to see themselves in that character and that scenario. Because I feel like we didn't get to see as much of him, but Russ, Jonathan Pryce's character, he seems to have this wealth of knowledge of the eclipse and what's going on in that town. Like, for some reason, I feel like he knows where Alma went. He's just not telling people, or he's allowing those people to discover, because sometimes there's no fun in telling people something. They have to discover it themselves, I think. Yeah, but I don't think there has to be a main idea or main story. There should be a main idea, but not a main story.
That does remind me, there was a character named Gaddis that I knew was named Gaddis because Amazon does have that really cool feature in which you just kind of hover over a screen and it tells you which characters are in that scene.
Gaddis, security guard?
Right. He was the security guard. And my first thought was, I bet and hope we will see him in multiple episodes. Because that is a character that I feel like a main character, they're not going to use them too much. They might use them again or whatever. But I feel like a small, minor, kind of likable, interesting character might be used multiple times over and over and over again, kind of almost like a familiar face. And he might end up having his own episode or something as well. But that's my theory on Gaddis, and I thought that was a really smart, introduction to a potentially really cool and interesting character if they, in fact, go in that direction with it.
Seems like he knows stuff too.
He's like a makeup artist. He hears everything and sees everything.
Well, he did think it was...
because he's on the phone.
Well, he did think it was fishy that the little girl was looking for someone named Alma, and he knew who to call, too. Who are you going to call?
Loretta.
Old Loretta.
Adult Loretta.
Oh.
Adult Loretta? That sounds bad.
Especially the way you said it.
I was going to say, what show were you watching?
Adult Loretta.
Well, that's how I started to differentiate, was like child Loretta, adult Loretta. So.
So that was my thinking on that character, and I'm glad you guys, I don't know what you said, but it made me think of that.
If you don't know what they said, how did it make you think of something?
No, I don't remember what you said specifically that made me think of that.
Okay, gotcha. Gotcha.
The Mercer Center for Experimental Physics, I think was what it was called, right?
Well, and our buddy, what is his name? Russ. He's the boss. I mean, he may be the creator of this loop. And so also I did a little more digging too, and apparently it's supposed to just be like a hadron collider, like where it's like where they do kind of like subatomic particle experiments. But it also looks like, I mean, you can even tell just by like the computers that it looks like it takes place in the 80s anyway too. So.
Yeah, well, I was wondering about that. Is this supposed to be a period piece or what?
Yeah.
Well, if you see that movie marquee before the girl goes to the bar, it says Summer of Monica, and Summer of Monica was 1953. But then it gets to the further with the adult Loretta, and that's, I'm guessing, like 20, 30 years after. So I think it's like late 70s, early 80s, I think.
Great catch, Roz. Good job. That's very good. What was the Summer of Monica? What does that mean?
It's an old movie. But it was on the marquee as of that was what was showing currently at the movie theater next to the bar that the girl runs into where Little Loretta meets Big Loretta.
Wow.
So,
All right. That's interesting. I'd seen
Yes.
Summer of Rachel, but I'd never heard of that one. Fall of Phoebe. So anyway.
Winter of Wanda.
Yep.
Yeah. Ryan was doing Friends.
Wow.
The funny thing is that Mike always does the same thing. He starts to explain a joke and then he just kind of looks and there's like this moment where he's like, why did I start?
Is it worth it?
Because I could see there's a pause there where you think like, why did I just begin to explain this? Now I have to decide if I want to see this explanation through or if I just want to be like, never mind. And you've done both. You've done both where you say you finish it through and sometimes you go, it's not worth it.
But also, since we're talking about these things, I wanted to point out, you know how she's taking that test in the beginning, like the long division test? Mm-hmm. I actually worked out the problem that was right there, and they did have that math correct. It was 360 divided by 24. It's 15 remainder 0. But it was correct.
Ryan?
And that is correct, but I wasn't concerned.
Do you know?
I wasn't concerned.
Ryan is a math genius, so anytime I have any math question at all, it always goes to Ryan. So.
I'm an arithmetic speedster. I can do relatively simple arithmetic very quickly, percentages or decimal points or simple math, but I don't know too much about calculus or anything. But that did remind me of another question I had. Actually, Roz, you were on fire and fuego, as the Mandarins say. So the question was, I wonder if I wrote it down or if I just thought it. No, I just thought it. When the teacher was handing them out their homework and stuff like that, and she says, "Great job" to one of them, and another one she says like, "Check your work," and another one she says, "See me after class," And I was wondering about the two of you. What was that little phrase that you heard the most from your teachers when you got homework or tests back? I know. What about starting with Roz, Eleanor, Stanley?
Usually they said, good job or great job. It was not unheard of for me to make all A's, basically. So but if I did a really, really bad, they were like, what's going on here? Because you're smart. You should know this. But yeah, usually they said, good job. Great job.
Michael, did they say the same for you or was it?
No, they mostly said like, why don't you do your homework? When I was in grade school and high school, I just did not care at all about doing homework. And I get to college and of course I got all A's in college. But then when I was younger, I don't care about this crap. Who cares? Why don't I do this crap? But then also, I did take one math class, and obviously I'm no Ryan, but I did take one algebra class, and I didn't do any of my homework, but I would get A's on the test. And then the teacher would say it in the class, like, hey, guys, if you don't do your homework, you're not going to get a good grade on the test, except for Michael, of course.
Oh, wow.
But then I started doing my homework and I got an A. So.
Good.
What about you, Ryan? What they say?
Yeah, no, I didn't even get my papers back because I didn't do them either.
You didn't take your test?
No, I just not like the homework. What I would do is I would just find out that there was a test happening like later that day. So I'd hurry up and try to memorize whatever the chapter was. And I would just like cram it all into my head, like real quick. You can do it. You can cram everything into your head and then you just can't talk or think about anything, if you just cram an entire chapter in your head in like 5 minutes and then like they give you the test and you just kind of go, blah, you just kind of like vomit it and then it's gone from your brain forever. It's like in a temporary holding pattern. So I didn't learn anything. I would just memorize stuff real quick, drop it out and then get like a good grade on a test, which would average out the not doing any homework at all and get like a C.
So you like weren't patient enough to study or do homework.
Okay, you guys. All right, here we go. That's correct.
I was too busy smoking weed, so not in grade school, obviously, but in high school.
I was too busy just living life to do homework when I'm 7 or 12 or 15. Just go have fun, kids. Go
But
live your
homework
life.
didn't take that long when you were 7. You had like a coloring worksheet of letters and numbers, and that was it.
Sounds
5
terrible.
minutes max.
It's exhausting.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I just wanted to play video games.
I want to get into trouble.
Zelda's not going to beat itself.
Zelda's a video game, Roz.
I
Legend
am
of
surprised
Zelda.
you would say that to me because I was in a theater show where I played the character Princess Zelda. So I'm very familiar with Zelda, and actually I played it growing up. I know I'm like, I don't look like a gamer, but I know some games.
Well, I'm so glad you said that, Roz, because we'd like to hear more about your theater works and your experiences in theater and stage play. And by the way, great job on everything.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sure. So you got a lot of theater experience or what? Is this something that you've done a lot of?
Yeah, well, I got my degree in theater in college. So part of that was you had to do a play every semester, basically, be in the plays kind of thing. But yeah, recently, haven't done much theater recently because of, the pandemic. We can't really be around people and crowds and stuff. So we've been doing some film stuff though. But yeah, the theater stuff, I played Zelda. That was a lot of fun. It was an actual theater play called The Video Games. And it was somewhat interactive because it was like the Hunger Games meets every video game character ever. We had Mega Man, Donkey Kong, Mario, Master Chief, all these like 12 characters, and the show was written so that the audience could vote on their phones or in other ways, and those characters would either die or they would keep going in the battle, basically. And so every night was a different show, if you will, because the audience would vote differently. Different actors had their friends there that wanted them to win or not win. So it was a great show. It was very, very, very creative. It was at the Hollywood Fringe Festival.
Cool.
Back in 2015. Yeah.
I like that. Did you say Fringe or French?
Fringe. Fringe.
Sorry, Ryan.
Yeah. That is okay. Hey, but Roz, you also do something really cool currently with theater. You're teaching theater now, yeah?
Yeah, I'm actually doing backyard theater camps, classes in different neighborhoods, basically. Different parents or learning pods have contacted me in the Los Angeles area. And so I create a class based on what they want, basically. And then I go and teach the class in person for however long. Some are 45 minutes, some are an hour, some an hour and a half. And it's based on whatever curriculum they want for that group. So yeah, it's fun. It's a lot of fun.
As a teacher, what's your favorite quality in a child to teach?
You mean what quality I teach to them, or they have?
Sorry, I worded that a little peculiarly. I mean, like, as a teacher, what is your favorite quality in a child with respect to teaching? Not a quality that you would teach, but one that you look for in a child.
I think when students are just naturally curious about life or any subject, I think it's easier to teach them, and it's easier for them to have their light bulb moments. If they're not naturally curious about math, science, what have you, you do have to work a little bit harder to gauge the interest. But yeah, you do what you got to do. But when people are naturally curious, they want to learn.
And what is your least favorite quality in their parents that really makes your job difficult? Just don't answer that.
Oh, I was going to.
Because what if they see this and they go, wait a minute, I do that. Hey.
Yeah, well, I had a list of names I was going to call out too. I'm kidding.
You just did a sketch literally the day before quarantine, right?
Yeah, literally the day before the bars shut down and all that kind of stuff, and everyone stayed home. We filmed a sketch in a day, and it's about a pill product called Trumpetor, and it's made by Fuckatall, the corporation, and it's really great. It's not a political sketch; it's more of a personality sketch, and it was a lot of fun filming it. It's on the YouTubes. You guys have the link. It was a lot of fun. We had such a ball that day.
And you know what Mike's going to do with that link, right?
Link it.
Go to it.
He's going to put it in the description box of this video. We're going to see all of these things.
Write it out by hand.
By hand?
Type it
like
out.
a marionette? There were two other things exactly that I'd like to ask you about. One is that you recently filmed a pilot, which I'm sure is gripping from moment one. Is there anything you can tell us about that one?
Yeah, it's a pilot. It's called Hollywood Unknown. It's written by Arthur Lang. He is a French writer-director.
Okay, I'm listening.
And that was, it's a kind of story you don't have to be patient for, so you might like it. It's a comedy, actually, though. And we filmed it at Venice Beach. I play Mel, and yeah,
Venice
it's
Beach
not
is
edited.
dirty.
Well, we can't all,
Sorry, please continue.
film in clean places. But
Not
yeah,
the water isn't
actually
dirty. The water cleans things.
Oh, that's cool.
I guess the people are dirty. That's what you're saying?
It's
or there's
just
messes everywhere.
Messy. Yeah, there's
Sand,
trash. There's like trash. Anyway, please
I can
continue,
see
Roz.
the messy. Yeah, so it's a comedy pilot. They're still editing it right now. We'll see what ends up happening with it. Yeah, I play Mel. It's loads of fun. It was a good day. Good day.
Can you tell us anything about your character?
Yeah, so my character in the pilot is actually an actress, so I didn't have to stretch very far. But she is a actress, and she goes on a first date with the main character, and we see what happens.
Oh boy. Which leads us to our final question of the day. Speaking of dates, best place to go on a date is Mexican food, everybody knows. And I'm quite the enchilada connoisseur. Roz, did you have the best chicken enchilada of your life yesterday?
I did. I had the best shredded chicken enchilada at Los Amigos, the Mexican restaurant and bar in Burbank. It was so good, so tasty. Like, I don't know if it's like the sour cream or the cheese or the chicken or the what, but it was the most delicious thing in the world, and everyone should go to Los Amigos in Burbank and get a jalapeno margarita too.
That sounds good.
Yeah,
Really
it does. Wow. Michael, do you also like enchiladas?
Not so much anymore.
Oh.
I mean, unless it's like vegan cheese and vegan meat inside of it.
All right. And now we have entered the zone that Mike affectionately calls
the auto zone.
The terrible twos, everybody.
I thought we would change the name now to the bottom line.
Now, see, you're right. The terrible twos are the final two questions within the bottom line. This is
the bottom line. That's all there is to it. There's these two last questions which make up the bottom line.
This is the section called the bottom line. And here are the terrible twos.
The bottom line, question one.
All right. Question number one. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the worst and 10 being the best, Michael Kenyon Rosenberg, what would you give the first episode of Tales from the Loop?
I think I would give it maybe 7.6.
Okay. 7.6, not
7.6. Just to let Roz know that you can do increments of 0.1.
I was planning on already.
Ooh.
Yeah. Good. And so 7.6, I guess I enjoyed it. Like I said, I like that kind of cool old school science fiction story. I wasn't similar to Ryan. I'm sure I wasn't gripped from start to finish, but I definitely felt the emotional journey, and I definitely at the end maybe had a tear. I'm not 100% sure, but there may have been a piece of water dripping down my face from my eye.
A slice.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay. That's weird.
I
Roz,
think it's normal.
then I'm outnumbered. It's normal.
Ryan's dead inside, so of course he wouldn't feel anything. So.
I sure am.
It's a natural response. I would say 8.75.
Wow.
I'm saying that. Yeah,
I knew she was going to go to the 100th. Yeah, I knew that was going to happen. That's why when Mike said you can do this, I was like, this girl's already like, she's way ahead.
I'm already there. I say that. I say 8.75 because, like I said before, a lot is said without being spoken in this. And I think even more can be said without being spoken. And I think that would shave off about 10 minutes. And our impatient viewers would give it more of a chance that way. That's the last patient joke. That's the last, because my patience is dwelling too. So that's the last.
We should do the rest of this podcast by saying things unsaid as well. Like, just be like.
But the first thing that needs to be said from you, Ryan, is what you give it from 1 to 10.
You are not being very patient, Michael. So, scale of 1 to 10. 6.7. I'm going to give it generously.
Wow, I was going to say that's from what you've said about it so far. That is a generous score from you.
I'm talking objectively speaking. I'm not talking about specifically on a Ryan scale of how much he likes something. You know, I'm just saying, like, objectively speaking, I think I give it a 6.7. I think that it didn't quite accomplish what it set out to do. Whatever its mission statement was, I don't think it quite accomplished that, but I think it did enough to represent, their theme or their objective. It was okay. But now the real question is, the second terrible two is, for the purposes of this podcast, we had to watch the first episode of Tales from the Poop. Now, the podcast is over, and we are free to do whatever we want with our time. But Michael Kenyon Rosenberg, would you watch the second episode of your own volition?
Yeah, I would. Like I said, I don't know if I'm going to be able to because my wife wasn't that into it, but maybe if I had to sneak away and watch it on my own somehow. But yeah, I think I would. I'm interested. Like I said, I love these cool old school science fiction stories, and I'm interested to know more about the Loop. I don't know that we're necessarily going to find out that much more about anything, but we're gonna have some more cool stories. So that's for sure.
Roz, Elena, Stanley. What about you? Would you watch the second episode?
I think it was fate, and I'll probably keep my Amazon Prime membership because of this show.
Wow.
I would.
Now that is how they get you.
Yeah, that is how they get you.
Now,
yes, it is.
Boy, oh boy, did they ever get you there.
Yeah.
I'd like to watch the next episode, and I'd like to watch the rest of the season. I think it's 8 episodes. I think it's a shorter season. So yeah. I'd love to see what else happens and what evolves out of this story.
Tell you what, Jeff Bezos right now is cackling with his cigar. Got another one.
Yeah,
boy, oh
Jeff
boy.
Bezos, my Instagram is in the description below, by the way.
Very nice. Now, as for me, would I watch the second of my own volition? What are we laughing at already? I feel like in the... No.
You know what? You don't need to say it. So much is said without being said, Ryan. You got it.
We know. Come on. We know your answer.
I like the concept and I like the world and I think it's brilliant and I really want it to do well. And I'm interested in seeing how it goes. But I just don't think the execution or the quality were quite there to make a loyal viewer out of me, I think.
Ryan's just going to go on Wikipedia and read the description of each episode, and then he'd be like, oh, I know what happens.
That's what I would do, honestly, if I was super curious but didn't want to watch the rest. I feel like I did do that one time with the show. I was curious, but I'm like, I can't watch 7 seasons. Let me just find out what happens. So it's a no from me.
What? Shocking.
Yeah, I'm not surprised, but I think probably like one day you'll just sit down and watch episode 2 out of nowhere. You'll be like, let's do this and not tell anybody. I think that's what's gonna happen.
I don't think he's going to.
You know, to bring it back a previous bottom line, when we did what was that show? The Umbrella Academy. I had a similar feeling, although I liked Umbrella Academy more, and I thought the execution was better, but it was very close for me in that I was very interested in knowing what happened, but I wasn't very interested in watching it because it created a mystery at the end. At the end of the first episode, there's this big mystery that you got to find out. But it's like, if they tell me the answer in the second episode, I'll watch it. But if you just have to wait for a whole season to get the answer to that mystery, it's not worth it. So I think I said I would not watch the second episode, right? For that reason, just because I was worried that they wouldn't tell us the answer. But then one day I was like, you know what? Let me just put it on while I'm brushing my teeth or something, just have it on just in case they give me the answer to that mystery that I want to know. Wouldn't you know it? Or I put it on while I was working. So I was just kind of listening to it, which this show, if you put it on while you're working and just listen to it, you'll have no idea what's happening because it's all in actions. There's hardly anything said. So that's what I mean. You have to really, that's why I said at the beginning, you have to actively watch it. You can't put it on and check your email or go brush your teeth or whatever. You have to be like this. You have to be involved. Anyway, the Umbrella Academy, I listened to the second episode. They didn't give me any information. Listened to the third episode. Didn't give me any information. Done. Bye. Anyway, that's how I feel about that.
Sounds like a listener.
All right. So, thank you for joining us today. This has been another episode of Watch the First.
Okay.
WTF.
So anyway, just tell us in the comments below whatever you want us to watch. Watch the first Robotech. Watch the first He-Man.
Ryan
Watch the
loves
first
80s cartoons.
Bionic 6. Watch the first Transformers. WTF Transformers, we should say. Anyway.
There's a show. There's a cartoon. What is it? Not DuckTales.
Animaniacs.
It has Baloo. No, Baloo the bear, but it's not Jumanji.
Tailspin.
Tailspin. Yes. Watch the first Tailspin.
Yeah, but you have to write it in the comments. Sorry.
Oh, you know what I was thinking?
I'll write it.
You know what I was thinking today, Michael? I think it would be fun if we do at the end ask the guest, what show would you like us to watch? We're not beholden to it, but it'd be interesting to know what they think.
That's a great idea, Roz, that you just had.
Thank you for taking my idea, Ryan.
She's psychic.
Anyway, I would love to have you guys watch the first for Tailspin, the original Power Rangers, and Saved by the Bell.
That's a lot of greeds, considering we said watch one show.
Well, a list, if you will.
Okay, duly noted. That's
Tailspin it is. Got it.
Oh, it's so good.
So we like to close it out by saying this podcast was contentious.
This podcast was illuminating.
This podcast was an eclipse.
Okay. We should have been like, this podcast was like 3 separate stories connected by the Zoom, Tales from the Zoom.
This podcast was ostensibly sentient.
Yeah.
This podcast was patient.
So we'd like to thank everybody for joining us and for hitting the bell icon and for subscribing and commenting in the comment section below. That's not just in the live chat, but in the comment section below me.
Did you say like? Hit the thumbs up like.
Very important.
Don't hit the thumbs down. Or if you do hit the thumbs down, hit it again so it just negates
Hit it twice.
Yeah.
Roz, thanks so much for joining us and making us laugh and being so cool and
Thanks
psychic
for having
and fun.
me, guys. I am very psychic.
And wearing a 1985 Whitney Houston pattern.
Woo!
Love
Yes.
Anyway, we like to close this out with Michael Rosenberg teaching us a lesson and saying this.
Don't forget to watch the first of things. Freeze frame.
Yeah, just watching Roz go like, is that it? Is that the whole thing?
Is that it?
Yeah.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Oh, phew. Anyway, thanks very much. We'll see you next time, guys.